Lances and Wings Episode 33 Queen Alina. Alexander watched with interest as a large group of men entered the city of Brest. He noticed that they were all dressed in bright red leather armor. This brought up a bad memory for him. He remembered the large man that had nearly taken off his head when he demanded that he sell Celina and Irina. He regretted being forced to sell them. He would have loved to be the one to deflower Irina. Then he saw the leaders come into the inn. He was terrified. It was the same man that had nearly killed him walking in. There was another man and a woman who walked in with him. They were both dressed in the same bright red armor, with the same insignia on their shoulders. He heard the innkeeper say, "Welcome, your majesties, King Jan and Queen Celina. It is an honor to have the king and queen of Polythia stay with us. As you requested, all our rooms are open for you, along with the rooms at the other two inns here in Brest." Then Alexander heard the voice of the queen say, "Very good. Are there 2 rooms set apart from the others, for the princess and her nanny to be close to the king and I?" Alexander almost wet himself in fear. The voice of the queen was his former slave. She had a sword on her side. She could kill him and nothing would be done. She was the queen of a much more powerful nation. He left quickly. The innkeeper replied to Celina, "We have 2 rooms that connect." Celina smiled and said, "Very good. I have many hungry men that will need to be fed." The innkeeper replied, "We have been warned and have all the local inns along with other local women taking care of it. You will see some large tables in the courtyards of our inns. We have people to serve. Please let your men sit and be served." With that, they walked out and 2 men took the king's, queen's, princesses, and Beata's things to rooms. Then the men got the rooms they were assigned. The local merchants were extremely happy. There was a king, queen, princess, and her nanny visiting. Then also 8 council members from the councils of Polythia. Then a total of 80 guards, all of which had more money than normal people to spend. This was going to be a very good day for business. Alexander heard the gossip on the visit. The king and queen of Polythia were going to pressure the king of the kingdom of White to end slavery. They were going to do a total trade stop if he didn't comply. The king had no choice. The only other countries bordering were the Ice Kingdom and Ukras. Both didn't like slavery. Both would rather trade with Polythia than the kingdom of White. Polythia was much larger and wealthier. He realized what he had to do. He went and told the slave trader to sell all his slaves at auction with no reserve. He then decided to keep one of his slaves, the little girl. He liked them a bit older. She was still young. He liked girls as the first hit puberty, but she would do on a pinch. He really liked it when he was the first to have a girl. It gave him a thrill to take a young girl's virginity by force, when she was still too young and naive to understand what was happening. In a few days, slavery would be illegal. His former slaves would want payback for what he did to the young women he had owned. It was no longer safe in the kingdom of White for him. The men all had rooms for the night, except for the 4 that had kept guard. It would be another week before they reached Uzda, the capital of the kingdom of White. The men were grateful for the comfort of having a room for the night. When they left, the 4 men that had been on guard were told to go sleep in the wagon. They were grateful for a place to sleep and not to have to ride all day first. The king and queen were comfortable riding. Beata didn't mind, although not as experienced a rider. Irina was joyful being passed around from Anilka to Anilka and being placed in the wagon to sleep when she was tired. They reached the Uzda. King Vadzim had arranged for rooms for the dignitaries from Polythia, in his palace. The local inns gladly agreed to take the rest of the men in, even volunteering to have someone wait guards up before shifts with a hot cup of coffee and breakfast waiting for them. They rested a day. Then Gesmo and Celina met with King Vadzim and his wife Queen Alina. The meeting went well as the queen was against slavery, and the only reason the king was against its outlaw was pressure from some wealthy slavers. Gesmo was about to use his trump card, a full trade stoppage, until Alina asked Celina, You are so adamant against slavery. I have heard you are part of the Ukras royal family. Tell me what makes you so against it?" Celina started. "I am part of the Ukras royal family by adoption. I was already married to my savior Jan when I was adopted. I was once a slave here in the Kingdom of White. My master, a man named Alexander, started raping me when I was 13. 4 months after my 14th birthday it resulted in me giving birth to Irina. I just don't want anyone else going through that. I was lucky Jan bought me from slavery, we fell in love and he made me a queen." Alina looked up at her husband and said, "That happened here in our country." He replied, "Never again." Then looked at one of his key men. "Write this down. In celebration of the visit of the King and Queen of Polythia. Slavery is now illegal in the Kingdom of White. Although this Alexander creep legally did nothing to be arrested for, since it was his property. I don't care. He is banished from our lands." The man nodded and said, "By your word." Smiling, he rushed out to tell all officials of the new law. Then Alina asked, "Can I meet Irina?" Celina said, "Of course." Then had Irina sent for. Irina came in and curtsied to the King and Queen of the Kingdom of White, saying, "Your Majesties." Queen Alina replied, "She is adorable." The rest of the evening was festive. The next couple of days were full of pomp and circumstance, but Gesmo and Celina were happy because their mission was a success.